It was a good one. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. It is great to see everyone. I know we still have a few people out in line, but I want to get things moving along so we have as much time as possible for our speaker today. As we get going today, I'd like to ask Pat Sheehan to come to the podium, deliver a reflection, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pat?
Let's pause to give thanks. Dear God, thank you for our Toledo community, our Rotary Club, and today's gathering of friends. Today we especially thank you for Lieutenant Governor Husted. We thank you for blessing him with wisdom and clarity in serving our great state, and we know that in doing so, he also serves you. Please bless our time together in this meal. All this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pat. As we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Browning Cousineau as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Brent Cousineau. So Brent, wherever you are, thank you very much. Normally we do guest introductions. Unfortunately, due to our time frames and how many guests we have, we are going to skip that today, but I do want to say thank you to all those who are here today as our guests. It is wonderful to see you all. To those who brought guests, thank you for doing that as well. I would like to get going here by asking new member Mark Parker to come to the podium for his new member introduction. Mark? So this one's a little special. Mark is being introduced virtually, so we are being joined by a video that was pre-taped by Danny Woodcock down in South Carolina.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. My name is Daniel Woodcock, and it is my honor to introduce and welcome Mark Parker to our Rotary Club. Mark Parker is the president of American Green Landscaping and a territory manager for Bush Hog. Call Mark for all of your outdoor needs, and I can personally attest to his landscaping abilities, so I would highly recommend you call him an American Green Landscaping should you need that. Mark and I have been friends since college, so we've known each other for a very long time, and I've known Mark to be an enthusiastic colleague. He's a committed servant leader, and he's always helpful and focused on community service opportunities, so I think he'll make a great addition to our Rotary Club. And knowing him since college, it also means I know Mark can put back a tall boy or two. So Mark, we'll see you at the happy hours. Outside of work and volunteering, Mark likes to spend time with his wife Kira and dog Bane and his cats Daryl and Penny. Mark is a diehard UT Rockets fan. You'll often see him and more likely hear him at the tailgates and the home games, and he's a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. So that means he and I are enjoying this Browns playoff run together. Go Browns. Please join me in welcoming Mark Parker to the Rotary Club of Toledo.
Thank you, everybody, for welcoming me. It's been a pleasure being a part of the Rotary Club this past 6 months. I'm really excited for the future projects we have moving forward and to keep getting more involved with the communities. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we maybe had to reschedule his introduction a couple of times, and yes, the Browns were making a hell of a run at the time, but oops, sorry about that. Okay, next up, I would like to ask Christy Cranston to please come to the podium along with her sponsor, Fred Danhauser. Good to see you.
President Travis. Christy is the Director of Client Services and Business Development at Raymond. She's what we call a Toledo boomerang. She was born and raised here in Toledo, attended Whitmer High School, and then Ohio University. After living in various cities, including Cleveland, Indianapolis, Nashville, she realized the error of her ways and came back to her beloved hometown in Toledo in 2018. The bulk of her career has been in business development, with her most tenured role in a variety of ADP HR services. Since she's been back in the community, her personal and professional focus has been on growing her network and expanding her resources to help others. Christy is heavily involved in the community, noted today in her role as Epic Toledo's 2024 chair. She's also a board member of the local nonprofit, the Avalon Foundation, a Westgate Toastmasters member, and now a proud and active Rotarian. It is in this network, in a networking role, I originally met Christy approximately 6 years ago, and I assure you with Christy, you will not only get a great friend, as well as a great networking partner, and since joining Rotary, she's been a practitioner of the four-way test long before joining Rotary. Christy resides in Sylvania with her husband, Ben, 3 stepchildren, and when not working in community extracurriculars, you'll find her traveling to some of her favorite spots. Houston, Texas, where her family lives, South Haven, Michigan, her favorite small town, and she wrote hitting the slopes. I'm not sure if that means that she hits the slopes or she actually is a skier, but allow me to welcome Christy to Toledo Rotary.
Thank you, Fred. I really look up to Fred, no matter what he tells you. I do appreciate you introing me, and it has always been a passion of mine to continue to grow my network. So if you don't know me or would just like to grab a coffee, lunch, or a drink, I'm open. Come grab me after today's meeting. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Welcome, Christy. Okay, going for the third one. Next up, I'd like to ask John Fankhauser to come to the sponsor, along with his sponsor, his father, Eric Fankhauser, past president.
Rotarians and guests, it's with great pride and pleasure today that I have the honor of introducing my son, Jonathan Fankhauser, into the Rotary Club of Toledo. I was introduced into the club in 1993, 30 years ago, when Chuck Stocking was president, and I vividly remember Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, was our speaker. Today we have Travis Tangeman as our president, and our Lieutenant Governor, John Husted, as our speaker, or should I say, our future governor of the great state of Ohio. I think Jonathan will remember this day the rest of his life, like I remembered my day of introduction in September of 1993. Jonathan is a 2014 graduate of St. Francis de Sales High School and a 2018 graduate of Indiana University, Bloomington, Kelley School of Business. Immediately after college, Jonathan started off his career with a move to Austin, Texas, to work for a startup tech company. Jonathan soon thereafter joined the Austin Cosmopolitan Rotary Club, and he quickly rose through the ranks and became a board member. He loved his small Rotary Club and what they did for the community. After 2 years, COVID hit, and the decision was made to come work for the family business, Toledo Metal Spinning Company, in November of 2020. He's done an absolutely outstanding job in his sales role within the company and has been recently named as sales manager. I could not be more proud of his achievements and accomplishments thus far in life. Jonathan will be marrying Elizabeth Noble in August of this coming summer. He is a 4th generation Rotarian. He follows my grandfather, John Miller of Archbold, Ohio, who was a charter member of the Archbold Rotary Club in 1955, and then my uncle Bill Fankhauser, who was a Toledo Rotarian for over 30 years. I personally became a Toledo Rotarian 30 years ago and was president in 2010, 2011, the year prior to our centennial. There are a few 3rd and 4th generation Rotarians in our membership, and I'm proud now to have Jonathan be included in that group. John's a member of the Toledo Club. He's an active squash player. He loves to climb make-believe mountains on Reynolds Road. He likes to bike and surf and water ski and hike, take his 2 dogs, Luna and Sunny, on long walks. He resides with his fiancée, Elizabeth, in downtown Toledo on the river. Jonathan's pet peeve is people who don't wait their turn to get off an airplane.
Amen.
Jonathan will be involved in the club, I know that for a fact, and he will make a great contribution to this club. President Travis and fellow Rotarians, please give a warm Rotary welcome to our newest member, John Fankhauser. You want to say anything?
Sure. Thank you all for the warm welcome. I've been around Toledo Rotary my whole life, and I'm looking forward to getting involved on a more official level.
Don't go too far, Jonathan. You know I like to do things in a big way. I learned from my brother. Back when I became president in 2010, one of my first official acts was to embrace and encourage others to think about becoming a Paul Harris Fellow or sponsor someone to become a Paul Harris Fellow. We as a board had an initiative of securing at least 100 new Paul Harris Fellows for our 100th anniversary and actually surpassed that by a large margin. I personally sponsored and presented a dozen Paul Harris Fellowships on the day I became president, and Jonathan was one of those recipients. For some of our newer members, what is a Paul Harris Fellow? The Paul Harris Fellow is named for Paul Harris, who founded Rotary with 3 business associates in Chicago in 1905. The fellowship was established in his honor in 1957 to express appreciation for a contribution of $1,000 to the humanitarian and educational programs that save and invigorate the lives of people around the world and enhance international friendship and understanding. Foundation programs provide educational opportunities, food, potable water, health care, immunizations, and shelter for millions of persons around the world. These activities are funded, implemented, and managed by Rotarians and Rotary clubs around the globe. Rotarians also designate Paul Harris Fellows to recognize another person whose life demonstrates a shared purpose within the objectives and mission of Rotary Foundation and to build world understanding and peace. Jonathan is a shining example of someone whose life demonstrates a shared purpose with the objectives and mission of the Rotary Foundation. In November of 2019, as a surprise, I gave Jonathan another Paul Harris Fellow for his 24th birthday via a Zoom call at his Austin, Texas board meeting. Today is another surprise for becoming a Toledo Rotarian, and as a great way to start in the Rotary Club of Toledo, I'm presenting Jonathan with his 3rd Paul Harris Fellow. I encourage everyone to give to Rotary. That's what we all signed up for when we became Rotarians. We all have an obligation as a Rotarian to support our club and our Rotary International Foundation. There's no reason why we cannot be a 100% giving club. Whether it be $10 or $1,000, give what you can, and let's be that club where 100% of our members give. Congratulations, Jonathan. Here's your 3rd Paul Harris Fellow pin. Oh.
That's mine. Yep. This is going to go off the wheels real fast if I don't have the script. Jonathan, congratulations. It is great to have you in the club. Welcome to all of our new members. I would like to now ask Foundation Chairman Jim Lehman to come to the floor mic for a quick update on our annual campaign. Yep.
There we go. Hey, thanks for the time, Travis, and thank you, Eric, for the unexpected pitch for the foundation there. I have a couple of big items to share about the foundation. We've accomplished 100% participation for the foundation trustees, 100% participation for our board, the club board, and 100% participation from all of our committee chairs. And with that as a starting point, we've accomplished about 55% participation so far. We hit our first goal of $75,000, which is going to get us a $15,000 match or a gift from our past presidents. So we're at about $90,000. Chuck Stocking over here has done a great job of leading our campaign this year, and we're not done yet. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to the foundation. You guys are doing tremendous work. Thank you to all of you who have donated thus far to the annual campaign. If you have not, please consider doing so. And we have a lot of other opportunities as we go throughout the year to include yourself in that percentage of people who've donated. So again, Jim, thank you. I'd like to again mention our first annual Founders Day golf outing that's coming up on May 6th, 2024. Thanks to Erie Home for being our title sponsor. That day, we will be hosting our Monday luncheon at the Sylvania Country Club. So we'll not be here, we'll actually be at Sylvania Country Club for our normal Monday meeting. Then we will tee off directly thereafter. So I want to put a thank you out to the golf committee who is putting all the work into this event. So thank you to Alex Dew, Steve Miller, Roy Cherry, Gene Dries, Gary Murphy, Lynette Reichel, Keith Burwell, Cindy Bankley, Alec Falkenberg, Kevin Mullen, and for some reason my name's on this list too. But thank you to all of you for the work you're doing. You're doing a fantastic job getting sponsorships. There are other sponsorships available if anybody would be willing to help out. All of the money that is raised that day does go towards the foundation. So again, this is how we continue to put well over $250,000 of Rotary money into our own community every year. So please, please come out and support, and thank you to the golf committee. I'd like to ask Bob Reichert to please come to the podium and introduce today's guest speaker, Lieutenant Governor John Husted.
Thank you, Travis. To the Rotarians and guests, it's my privilege to introduce Lieutenant Governor John Husted. Welcome to Toledo, John. John's not a stranger to Northwest Ohio. He was born, I believe, in Detroit, and then adopted by a family out of Montpelier, where he graduated from high school. He went on to go to the University of Dayton, and somehow ran into Travis down there somehow. He got his bachelor and master's degree there. He was an All-American defensive back for the Flyers and member of the national championship football team. And after that, he served as vice president of economic development for the Dayton Chamber of Commerce. Noticing a lack of leadership in the state level, he ran for state rep, and after a few years became Speaker of the House. John served out his two terms as that ability and went on to Secretary of State. And the thing that I found unique is he cut costs enough on applying for new businesses in Ohio that he generated a lot more income. And in fact, in his last year, he told the state that he didn't need any funding. Saved over $1 million for his operation. John's got a record of cutting costs and saving money for everybody that's concerned. He's been Lieutenant Governor under Mike DeWine for a long time, 8 years, I guess. But he has got a lot of things going on. He and his wife, Tina, very athletic, talented artist, God knows what else. And the one thing that he and I have in common is he's got 3 daughters that he loves very much. Please welcome my friend John.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for the invitation to speak to the Rotary Club today. Welcome to the new members. I was reflecting on a couple of the comments about the new members when I heard their introductions. The first gentleman, you were introduced as a diehard Browns fan. Like, you never hear anybody described as a fair weather Browns fan. Like, no one ever goes fair weather Browns fan. Although there could be some fair weather Lions fans around. Like, just recently, after 30 years, became fans again. And then Dave Thomas was the speaker the day that you became a Rotarian. And I was just thinking, that's kind of a lot to live up to, because Dave Thomas, you know, like, I can give you like balanced budgets and a few tax cuts and some school vouchers, and he gave you the Baconator with pretzel bun. You know, it's kind of a bigger deal. And but it's wonderful to be with you today. When Bob called me, when Bob calls you and says, hey, can you come speak to the Rotary? It's more like, hey, when are you going to come speak to the Rotary? We need to see you. And I said, absolutely. We'll pick the month when there's nothing else for anyone to do but come watch me at Rotary. We'll pick January, right? And we're going to talk about why Ohio's the heart of it all. That's what he asked me. Like, what do you want to talk about? I said, I don't really want to talk about why Ohio's the heart of it all, why it was and why it is again, the heart of it all. And we changed Ohio's slogan back to the heart of it all. And we actually did the announcement here in Toledo over basically at home plate in the Mudhead Stadium. And I want to, and I work, my passion and where I work as Lieutenant Governor is built around economic development, workforce development, and innovation. Like, those are the things that I really enjoy working on. And the Governor DeWine, has given me the opportunity to work on those things. As a matter of fact, every once in a while people go, like, do you want to be governor? I'm like, well, I don't know. Being lieutenant governor is pretty good because I just like to work on the things that I want to work on. And when something else like a pandemic happens or something, he has to go do all that stuff, and I can stay focused. It's like it. But that's what I care about. And in recent years, I've kind of reflected. And you heard I was born in Detroit, was adopted. I grew up in Montpelier, Ohio, which is far. Like, when people say far northwest corner, that's far northwest corner, right? Way up there in Williams County. And at the time I grew up there, it was a tough time in Northwest Ohio. It was the 1970s and 80s, and about the time my dad graduated high school, the company he worked at, Mohawk Tools, it closed. And so he lost his job, and my aunts and uncles lost their jobs, and it really tore our family apart, hurt the community. At its peak, it employed 400 people in a town of 4,000. A place like that closes in a small, and that was rippling through all of Ohio and all of the Midwest and Northeastern economy because of global competition and trade deals and some things that had happened. And I reflected back on that many, many years later, and it's just like I just realized what a big deal it is to have a vibrant economy. Not just from the money that you put in your pocket at the end of the week when you get your paycheck, but what it means to your family, how you can keep your family together, have that safety net of family that you have when your children and grandchildren don't have to leave to find a place to go to work. And that's where we are in Ohio today. We actually now have more jobs than we have people. And in 2023, we created a record number of jobs in the state of Ohio, 5.6 million, it's actually 5,661,100 jobs at the end of the year. 93,000 private sector jobs created last year, the lowest unemployment rate in our state's history, and more jobs than we have people. And as I talk about this, if you go to ohiomeansjobs.com, if you were in Northwest Ohio region alone, there's 16,798 unfilled jobs. About half of those jobs pay over $50,000 a year. And most of them, you don't need a college degree to get them. And in Ohio, we had 54 companies in the last 4 years leave the coasts to move to Ohio because we've become a better place to do business and they've become a worse place to do business. And as America has recognized that we need to have a domestic supply chain for the most critical elements of our economic and national security. We're building things in America again, and we're building more and more of them in the Midwest and in Ohio. And you see these capital investments that are coming. I know that I've visited, I'm going to go see First Solar. First Solar just bought another building. They're continuing to expand. I'll see that later today. I visited the Cleveland Cliffs facility. They're continuing to look at investing and being successful. General Motors now. We've got more and more of these things, just people continuing to invest in Ohio. And even though 2023 was one of the slower years in economic development across the country, Ohio was still the second best in the nation. And we are the heart of it all again with these things happening. Doesn't mean we're satisfied. It just means that, hey, it's happening. Because this is what I will make the case to, whether it's my children or your children or anybody around the world, that Ohio is the place that makes things every single day that people need to live and thrive for the world and for the country. From the food you eat, to the cars you drive, to the trucks that deliver it, from the airplanes that fly, and now the cloud that connects us all, and the chips that power our devices, that's what Ohio does now. And that's not even mentioning the amazing things that happen in our healthcare sector with the innovations that are going on there. And one of the reasons is because we got it right. We know how to make things. We got a good work ethic. We have the right kind of place that people want to live and can afford to live. We have all of these things going on, and we don't have oceans, we don't have mountains. We've got a Great Lake, but we don't have a lot of those things. We just have that we get the job done. And I know when we were talking to Intel trying to seal that deal, which was the biggest deal in the state's history, we told them, it's like, look, we don't do drama. People here in this state, we just want to go to work, take care of our families, lead a good life, without all the drama. And that worldview prevailed. And we are the heart of it all. Like, we have a very diverse economy now. And now that we have all this, it's exciting to want to go build on it. Like, it's exciting now that you can literally say to your children and grandchildren, they don't need to look anywhere else because we've got opportunities here in Ohio. But we're not even close to being where we aspire to be. I really believe over the next 10 years we can be the dominant economic force of the Midwest because we've got so many things right. We have a good business environment. You consistently look at the rating systems about our economy. Ohio is almost always ranked in the top 10 as great states to do business. We have reasonable and low tax and regulatory environment. We've got good infrastructure, consistently rated in the top 5 for our roads, bridges, and infrastructure in the state. We have put together a great domestic supply chain. The one place, though, great business environment, a lot of good things happen, and the one place that we struggle is a workforce, having enough people to do the work that we all have for them to do. And I actually made some notes about this. I'll pull these out because I want to stop on workforce for a second, because got a lot of good things happening, but if we want them to continue to happen, we have to have talent. And that means everything from somebody who's willing to do an entry-level laborer's job to PhDs in biochemistry. I mean, the whole thing. And we face a demographic problem. I know everybody loves a good demographic discussion. That'll keep you awake here after a lunch, right? But it's important to talk about, because I hear people often lament, well, I can't find people to go to work. People should, just, why won't they go to work and all that kind of stuff? Well, the challenge is there's just not as many people in our demographics. And I had my staff pull these numbers when I saw them the other day. We just don't. We don't have as many people. It's not just an American problem. It's not just a Midwestern problem. It's a global problem for developed nations. You see that China is now starting to lose population, particularly from their working age population. You see it in Japan. You see it in South Korea. South Korea, amazing, like their demographics are cratering, where in America we have similar problems. And if you look at, so I broke it down in these segments. I wish I could show it to you. I didn't prepare it for that. But in 5-year segments, from 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years, 15. So 60 to 64 years old, okay? That 5-year segment, that is the 5-year demographic with the most people in it right now in Ohio and in Northwest Ohio. So what do people, when they get to be about 60 to 64 years old, think about doing? Maybe retiring, right? Now, you're not allowed, by the way. Just keep working. Baby boomers, we love you. Stay in the game. 75 is the new 60, right? Just keep working. We need you to keep doing this. But if you look at it, you see that the 10 to 14-year-olds and the 20 to 24-year-olds, there's a much smaller demographic there than there is among 60 to 64 years olds. My point is that it's like, this is not a problem. It's just going to go solve itself. Like, it's going to have to be intentional. We're going to have to be great at it if we want to continue to bring businesses. Because the number one reason, I know Dean's here and the RGP team that we work with a lot through Jobs Ohio, the number one reason that we will lose a deal is because we can't supply the workforce. Not anything else, it's workforce. And so if we're going to compete, we're going to have to do that. And that means that everything from helping more children, which I know is part of your Rotary mission, more children prepare to be kindergarten ready, to having more kids in the 3rd grade who can read, more kids who are proficient at math by the 6th grade, making sure more students are getting career technical education and being work ready when they graduate so they don't need a college degree. They can get one, but they don't need one to go take a career opportunity. All of those things, making sure that our 2-year institutions, the Owenses of the world, are outstanding in preparing the right kind of talent that the local economy needs, and that the University of Toledo and Bowling Green are excellent, thriving, producing the talent that the local economy needs. And then continuing to do the things, which I talked to Wendy earlier about, some housing and things like that. We're actually in a time period where we need to build more housing. And I say this in places, there's some grumpy people, particularly around Central Ohio, who don't want change, don't want to build all these new houses. I said, look, this is the price of success. If you want your children and grandchildren to be able to stay here and go to work, which they can now, unless you want them to live with you, we've got to build new housing for them, right? So we got to do these things, and we have to be focused on building the talent, knocking down the barriers that stand in the way, producing the amenities, and all of the things that we need to be successful. And if we do that, we can do some great things. And we have to be world class. No one grows without innovation. No one grows without innovation. You have to be innovative in this economy to be great. And that's why I'm excited about the prospect of us funding a collaborative effort with the business community here in Toledo on an innovation hub on glass. Pulling together our universities, our workforce system, our businesses to figure out what we need to do to make Toledo world-class in whatever sectors that we're looking at in glass. And you've got everybody from both Owenses and First Solar and lots of companies that can pull together to help make this happen, to make Toledo world-class in this area. And to create a sense of place, because this is a place where students will come there and they'll look at it and they'll go, this is really cool. This is the best thing going. And that people from around the globe will want to invest here. And when they see the talent that's produced and when they see the innovation that's occurring, then they're going to want to buy some land, then they're going to put a building, then they're going to want to create some jobs and continue to do that. And that will be the seed that will continue to grow for the future. But all of these things have to happen together. And I'm watching them happen all over this state in different places. Every place is a little different. What happens in Columbus is different in Cleveland, different in Toledo, different in Dayton. Everybody has their own expertise, and we have to nurture it to make sure that it continues to be world-class. And also, as part of this discussion, we're also going to have to realize the world will continue to change, and we have to use tools like AI to integrate into all the things that we do to compete and win. Because we are in a competition. I hate going to conferences. Like, I'm not a big guy who likes to travel, go to these conferences, but I've been there's one way they can sucker me in on this, is when they ask me to come talk about how Ohio's been so successful at as I was invited to one to talk, they wanted me to talk about Ohio's overnight success in economic development. I was like, yeah, overnight. Like we've been grinding at this for 30 years, and now we're finally cresting the hill, and we're running with some breeze at our back rather than at our face. But we got to continue to compete. Talent's number one. Innovation. Great place to do business. And all those values that we talked about that makes the Midwest a great place to live and work and raise a family. And we have to realize that all the successes we're having, like other states want it. And we're going to continue to be great. And we're going to continue to build innovation centers and build talent. And when we do that, it creates a rising tide that lifts all boats because it creates prosperity. Prosperity leads to a higher quality of life. And when people have good jobs and they're earning more, then they can go they can go to the restaurants and they can use the amenities, and you have more money circulating where you can create quality of life and thriving environment. And that's what we aspire to. And so we don't do this from Columbus. It's region by region. We partner with everybody in every region to make every region the best it possibly can be. And I'm excited about what we hopefully are going to be able to do with an innovation hub here. I'm excited about the capital investment. And let's continue to work together to continue to build the talent we need to be the heart of it all, not just now, but long into the future. So with that, Bob, thank you for inviting me, and I'll take a couple questions. Got our microphone there in the middle, and if I don't like the question, Bob, I'm going to bring you over here to answer it. So,
yeah, my name is Tom Brady. I don't know whether Dr. Durant's here, but if he were, he would tell you that 80% of the kids that start Toledo Public Schools start unprepared, like the other 19 urban systems that we have in Ohio. And I can't even give you the statistics on how many of those kids don't end up where you want them to end up. And yet, the data shows that those that start pre-K in a qualified program, 3 to 5, the payback on that is $8 to $10 eventually, and less welfare, less incarceration, and more tax revenue. My question is, why can't we get the state to figure out how to, instead of ask us to fund pre-K, which we're trying to do, why doesn't the state step up to that and fund universal pre-K? Thank you.
Well, I hate to break the news to you, but the state is you. We have the money that gets sent to us from local taxpayers and all of us in this room. We have there are a variety of different ways of approaching it. Not in this, we could have a whole half-hour discussion on this or longer than that. Some places, some communities like universal pre-K, some places don't. What we've tried to do with our approach has been through, first of all, through high-quality childcare, not just when you're 4, but from the time that you're the first time that you enter into a institutional setting, I'll call it, that we have high-quality teachers who understand what it takes to nurture a child, so that when they're 1, they're 2, they're 3, they're 4, we have a star-rated system in the state of Ohio to make sure that there's quality. And in our budget, Governor asked for the General Assembly to give us more money to create more slots for young people to do this, and the General Assembly said no. They gave us a very limited amount. I actually have an op-ed in Crane's Cleveland Business today making the case about why we need to do more to help working families care for their children and make it affordable. And so I completely agree with the sentiment, although I'm not sure I agree that universal pre-K is the only, or in some cases even the preferable way to go about that. But let's all agree on the fact that there are a large number of children who are being born into Medicaid situations and home situations that are not ideal, and that unless we intervene in their lives, they're not going to have the outcomes that we want them to have. And we should redouble our efforts to make sure that we're doing more to help.
Good morning. I'd like to start off with just a quick little story, then a question. My family grew up in Ney, Ohio.
Ney?
Ney, Ohio, which
I know where Ney
is.
is.
Actually a community you may be familiar with.
It's in Defiance County.
It's in Defiance County,
Yes.
no more than 300 people, and this is around the turn of...
It's hard to stump me on places in Ohio, okay?
And that'll be one of them. There's only one stoplight, and thankfully it works down there. So, back in 1920, my family made a decision to move out. They met a producer from Chicago and saw life on the West Coast, and they said, hey, come on down. Let's all move from little Ney, Ohio, and Evansport, and head out there to the West Coast. Well, my family stayed in the West Coast for generations, and I'm a product of one of the many people leaving the coasts. And I actually decided to choose Toledo as my home. I have a brokerage in California, doing well out there, but eventually costs of living and other factors, I came up with that decision to say, okay, it's time to relocate, go to a place that has opportunity, and I believe Toledo does have opportunity, according to people that I know here and the things that I've seen over the past 10 years. So with that being said, what is a goal that you have to lure in and get an under 40s younger professional community in the state of Ohio, and also in particular Northwest Ohio? And I'll take the answer seated. Thank you.
Sure. Great question. It was nice to see how many of your new Rotarians had moved away and are coming back today. A couple of you had moved away to Austin, Nashville, and now you're back. And you're seeing a lot of that happening. And we have a variety of strategies First of all, we don't want them to leave, so we have a number of strategies for Ohio high school students through things like the Choose Ohio First Scholarship and the Governor's New Merit Scholarship to get Ohio high school students, when they graduate from high school, if they intend to go to college, to get them to stay and go to an institution in Ohio, because we know that 80% of students will go to work and live within 50 miles of where they graduate high school, where they graduated college. So keep them here, doing more. I think the new president at Ohio State is going to expand the number of Ohio students that they take there, and we're going to continue to see some progress on retention of our own. Recruit Back, that's mostly a project that Jobs Ohio is working on, where they literally work with companies to target Ohioans who have Ohio ties. Either they grew up here, they graduated from college here, they used to work here, and they target them with job opportunities over LinkedIn and other of those platforms to try to bring back that talent to Ohio. And then you may have seen over the Christmas holiday, there was an advertisement that was on TV about a young lady and her daughter come back to see mom and dad here in Ohio and say, hey, I got the job, I'm coming home. And it's it's been a hard marketing plan to sell for a long time because there weren't the opportunities. But now that we're literally in an environment where we have more jobs than people, we can start to do more of those things aggressively. And we're doing that we're doing that for everywhere in Ohio. It's not just in Northwest Ohio or Central Ohio or Northeast Ohio. We're operating these programs across the state. But by the way, if anybody has any great ideas, I'm always open to your suggestions, but I will tell you that from my experience, there's nothing better than having great career opportunities. Because in the end, that's typically the reason that somebody makes a choice about where they end up. And if we have high-paying jobs and affordable quality of life, it just becomes more and more inviting, as we saw during the pandemic, people just leaving California, New York, and places like that, just as the businesses are leaving. 54 of them have moved to the coast here, and they're bringing a lot of the people who work for those companies with them. I just want them to leave their ideas at the coast. Remember, that's why you screwed things up there, okay? Midwest, we're in Midwest now, okay? Let's do that.
Thank you.
Right.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor, I'm very happy that you're here today. Thank you. I don't have what I'd call so much a question as a bit of advocacy to do here. And if you know anything about the Toledo Rotary Club, you know that we have certain areas that we're highly focused on, and actually our foundation has supported what we call transformational projects. One of those very important ones is clean water. And the reason that that's so important to be tied to what you're saying today is if you're looking to bring people back to Northwest Ohio, and if you're looking to bring companies back to Northwest Ohio, we know people don't want to come where there's any chance they might not be able to drink their water coming out of their faucet. And I came back from the East Coast not too long before the 2014 water shutdown happened. My area of work has always been environmental, so I got very involved with this area here in the Rotary Club. And what we've definitely learned by that is that companies and individuals want to see a continued commitment, and we need to even grow stronger our commitment to actually finding the solutions. We have been arguing and developing studies on this problem now for countless years, and we still do not have solutions that are agreed on. We need that. One of those solutions, we believe, is the kind of thing that's going on in the Department of Natural Resources, ODNR, where they're rebuilding wetlands that
absolutely.
they demonstrate their ability to clean the water that's flowing up the rivers or in the lakes where these wetlands are redeveloped. And we feel that's an extremely important way to be able to actually make progress in clean water in Ohio. So we've dedicated and have asked for more funding as a transformational project to work on more projects. We did a 62-acre project a couple of years ago. You may be aware of that, down near Napoleon. I understand from some recent press information that Governor DeWine, I guess, is the vice chair of what's called the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Governors and Premiers Group, which have asked and set as a goal to plant 250 million more trees by 2033 in the watershed. And so my advocacy is that whatever happens with government going forward in the state of Ohio, that as long as you're involved with that we have your absolute commitment to making that kind of thing happen. And we would very much like to have your input on how Rotary can become more involved in this particular effort to plant 250 million more trees.
Well, that's a lot of trees.
Yeah, yes it is.
And so first of all, we are absolutely committed to water quality. I know that I think you used a word in there as agreement. I know among the people who care about this issue that problem identification, everybody acknowledges sort of the same problem. Solution identification, a little more difficult because people disagree, particularly the agricultural community, which, as you know, outside of Lucas County is the dominant economic force of Northwest Ohio. And so it's that continued commitment of getting the agricultural community to adopt practices that will lead to less phosphorus and nitrogen in the tributaries. It is creating wetlands, which I love the wetland solution because it creates natural spaces for wildlife and also helps absorb the phosphorus and nitrogen from going into the primary water source, which is Lake Erie. And I tell you, as somebody who I'm not joking. Like, if there's like one thing that I love to do as much as anything, it's go fishing in Lake Erie. So I'm out there as often as time permits. Look, it's essential. It's essential that we have access to clean water, that we protect the natural resources, because that's what we're really describing, concluding with this, your comments, is about how you create that quality of life in balance. Thriving economy, got to feed people. We want to create jobs, but we also want to have nice places that we want to live, places to recreate, places that are safe and clean. And so that's the goal. How do you keep that in balance? And I can tell you, our administration and I am committed to making sure that we continue to be aggressive and making sure that we are keeping our natural places that we can be proud of. So, thank you very much.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here today. I am so sorry to all of you that had additional questions. Unfortunately, we had a hard stop, but in appreciation for you being here today, I will be presenting with you with a copy of Historical Tales of Toledo, which was authored by past Rotary President Clint Mock. So thank you. And we will be making a donation in your name to the Polio Plus campaign to rid the world of that horrific disease. So again, as a fellow flyer, thank you for being here. It was wonderful having you. Okay, next week we will be back here on January 29th. We will be joined by Lori Hauser of Imagination Station when she discusses the topic of total solar eclipse. A few of us will not be here, as a group of us will be heading to the Honduras for Uniendo 2024 to investigate future international projects and check in on a few of the other ones our club has taken care of in the past. So I am leaving you all in the very, very unstable hands of Hunt Sears. Hunt, where are you? He will be your noble MC next week. So anyway, everybody, go out, create hope in the world, continue the amazing work that this club and this community does. Thank you to everybody who's here today. Have a wonderful week, and we are adjourned.